Here's the beginning of Lab 8, or the lab for Chapter 8. I have started by making a copy of my Count the Digits program from my lab for Chapter 7, and I've stored it as a new file inside my new Chapter 8 Labs folder. I've also updated the description. For this lab, I will be given an integer. I'm going to be dividing it up into digits, putting it into an array, and then printing the array. So I've updated my description. Other than that, and the only thing you should need to do is to change the class name to match the file name. Cruising through my my code from last time to just remember what it does. I have the scanint that takes a scanner, a low bound, and a high bound, and it takes care of the input for integers, so that will be very helpful. Here is an existing method that I wrote last week to count the number of digits in a number, and then a main method. So this looks like I can do this repeatedly, which is fine. I'll leave that. And this looks like this is max and min. So I don't think that I have to report the max and the min right now. So I'm going to take that out. I am going to have to report out my array, but I don't have one of those yet. So far I think this should be sufficient. Just trying to get this to build and run successfully. This might be helpful. This part might be helpful for debugging. I'm going to leave that in. And I think I have accidentally taken out the while loop when I was deleting, so I'm going to put it back in. Actually, I guess I can undo and find it again. It's harder to undo than to redo. Oh yeah. So this was the while loop. So let me be a little bit more careful about how I'm deleting. I'm going to leave the while loop. I am going to read in the number. I'm going to take out this part. That might be helpful, and I probably don't need this anymore. Okay, so now I'm left with a smaller program to start. Reviewing the handout for a minute. So I'm supposed to write a program that prompts the user for an integer. Okay, I have that. And then I'm going to break that integer apart into digits and store each digit into an array. So I will need to make an array, and I need to figure out how many digits are in it. So I'm going to store that first. So I'm going to get my comments going here. So I will figure out how many digits are in the user's number and make an array with that many spots. Then I will break up the user's number into digits and store each one into its appropriate spot in the array. Okay, at that point, then I will print the resulting array. That's my job. Okay, so now I usually think of what do I know how to do already and what do I not know how to do. I do already know how to figure out how many digits are in the user's number, and I think I know how to make an array with a number. So I can get that out of the way right now. My method is called numDigits. Actually, I don't have to report this anymore. I'm going to be reporting the array instead, so I'm going to get rid of this. But I'm going to take that call to numDigits and store it. So here I'm choosing to make a bunch of local variables inside my while loop, which is okay to do. And I kind of do have to do them in this order. I could declare them all up inside main. I don't really need them outside my while loop, so I don't know if I really want to do that. But to be, if I was a little bit worried that I was starting to sprinkle in too many variable declarations like throughout the while loop, I could collect them all at the top like this. It's really a matter of personal choice, or if you have coding conventions on that in your workplace. But for example, I could say int number equals 0, int num digits equals 0, and then just kind of collect them all at the beginning of the my while loop, and then start going here. I don't really feel like it's appropriate to put them up at the beginning of main because nobody outside the while loop really cares. If it turns out that I need to carry one outside the while loop, that would be a reason to move it out, to move the definition of it up here closer to the beginning of main. But so far, I don't see a need for it. Okay, now, at this point, I will know what the number of digits is, and so then I can make an array. And I can't really make my array until I know the number of digits, and so I can't really put the array up here with a default, so I'm stuck in that sense. I'm not really a rabid, like you must put all your variable definitions up in one place, but I know that we are, in this class we tell you to do that a lot at the beginning. Int digits array, for lack of a better idea, equals new int, and pass in the num of digits. Okay, now I've got my array to store them. Break up the user's number into digits and store each one into its appropriate spot. I don't think I have something that really does that so far. I need to write it. I have broken the number up into digits in order to count them using num digits, so that would be the appropriate place to look. To keep this video short, I'm going to do it by itself, and so I'll say at this point we'll wait for the next video and work on this section, which will be an actual new method.